Good evening, everyone. England flew down here this morning from the Nantes region in high enough spirits already, and they're straight away into another major test. France ranked 4th in the world and on home soil. They've really freshened their side tonight. Only Barthez, Blanc and Deschamps began the game against Brazil, though all 3 substitutes used in Lyon are in from the start tonight, including Arsenal's Patrick Vieira and the goal scorer Marc Keller. They will expect Yuri Djorkaeff to give the team direction, operating behind 2 forwards, Nicolas Wedek and Christophe Dugarry.
Yes, a very attacking lineup and a big responsibility on the captain Deschamps. I think he'll be the most defensive of the midfield players. Vieira will play his natural role as he does for Arsenal, getting forward from box to box. Keller, although on the right-hand side there, he will swap from left to right. Djorkaeff, you mentioned, Martin, is world-class, and he's always a threat to any opposition.
So to bring you right up to date with England, David Seaman back in goal, the same defensive 3 as in Poland, plus Graham Lasso on the left. Phil Neville keeps his place on the right. David Beckham again more central in midfield tonight with David Batty and Paul Gascoigne. As you've heard, Gazza's 50th cap. Paul Scholes would have started but isn't fully fit. And Ian Wright's performances against South Africa and Italy have earned him a game alongside Alan Shearer.
Yes, that's the only change I would say in terms of tactical sense. The fact that Wright is up front, 2 of them will play as out-and-out strikers. Possibly Gascoigne may play a bit loose, with Beckham and Batty being the central midfield players. But as I mentioned, Deschamps, a big responsibility for France, and I feel Batty has that for England. He will have to control the big threat that I mentioned of Djorkaeff.
Well, France have only 10 substitutes, from which 3 may be used. Caron were injured early against Brazil. England named the full 11. Rob Lee has been back in full training after toe trouble. And as I say, Paul Scholes a minor muscle strain, and Martin Keown a sore shoulder. Well, it's taken Paul Gascoigne the best part of 9 years to reach 50 caps, but for misfortune and misadventure it would have been many more. But he's very determined to play a part in what is developing into a very competitive England setup. Competitive against the opposition, of course, but very competitive to stay in the side itself. England and France meeting for the first time for 5 years. They drew in Euro 92 in Sweden, but both finished Euro 96 with identical disappointments. The 2 losing semi-finalists, both bowing out on penalties. England came and had a look at the pitch on the way from the airport to the team hotel around midday, and Glenn Hoddle did request for an extra cut to the grass, and it looks as though that request has been met. as we're off for both these sides' second game in the Tournoi. France certainly bounced back from a rather demoralising opening half an hour or so against the brilliance of Brazil, but showed themselves worthy competitors, as you would expect with their record, to get that 1-1 draw. And you all know about what England did to Italy. The stadium has undergone extensive renovation for the World Cup. That's pretty complete now, upgrading to a 35,000 capacity. So here's Gascoigne. David Beckham will Ince taking a break from the action tonight. So Campbell back in the team. Beckham had a good look to where Phil Neville had gone forward in that adventurous style of his, but decided that the pass might have been just too ambitious this early in the game. As Phil Neville really on his way back from where he was when Beckham had the ball. And Shearer of Arsenal, Deschamps of Juventus, Shearer starting on the left-hand side. Wedek, home support, calling for a free kick. Dugarry, who was tracked by Blackburn Rovers a year or so ago, but chose to go to Italy rather than come to England. He's got a free kick this time. The referee incidentally comes from Morocco, which was once under French control, but I'm sure it will be a very neutral official tonight, highly rated by FIFA. So the first test for England here in Montpellier. Dugarry, who is more than useful in the air, and scored in Euro 96 with a header against Romania, you might recall.
It's a nicely flighted ball this from Djorkaeff, found the head of Dugarry. Gets up above Campbell, can't quite direct his header downwards. But already, Martin, we've only played, 2 minutes this game, and already the signs are this is going to be a more difficult game for England than what the other night was in the Italian game.
Well, it's difficult for Barthez here because it wasn't just the case of getting to the ball, it was where was the edge of his area as well. And he performed an awkward task, painfully, but effectively. Beckham's ball that had both Wright and Shearer sprinting forward menacingly. Barthez has dropped to his knees, still feeling the effects of the collision. Djorkaeff, aware his goalkeepers in need of a little breather.
Yes, the trainer just come to the side of the pitch, just asking Barthez if he needs treatment, but I think the signal is no, I think he'll be okay. Very, very touch and go, wasn't it, if he was in or outside the box? Certainly the right decision he made to come for it. I felt that perhaps Peruzzi was a little bit slow coming off his line when Wright got clear for the first goal, but on this occasion Barthez was very, very alert.
Gascoigne. Catching Beckham on the wrong foot. Thursday, incidentally, there was so much rain here that the local fire brigade were put on standby. Off surface water, had that been required. France had to cancel a planned training session on this pitch. But although it's remained cloudy, the rain has stopped. It's a good surface for both these sides to try and produce a performance as well as a result. France very keen to do that. Their results have been excellent. And there's Rousseau giving away a free kick. Bringing down Thuram.
I just think it was sheer skill that actually beat the soul there from Thuram. Not a natural right back, as we've seen this season. Plays so often for Parma at the centre of defence.
What a good season he's had in Serie A.
Excellent player, one of the best I would say in Serie A. Tonight playing on the right-hand side as a fullback.
Deschamps' forward ball skimming off the head of Southgate. David Seaman concentrating on getting good distance to the clearance. Ian Wright knows the capabilities of his clubmate. So Wright and Shearer together. Twice they started under Graham Taylor. That was in '92. Once in the Terry Venables in '94 when Wright was asked to play in a wider position and really didn't do himself justice, and many wrote him off as an international after that game. But not Glenn Hoddle, who has a look at a possible partnership here that he can use.
Well, that's a challenge you're going to see quite often tonight. The two of them very, very close together, as you'd expect, Djorkaeff and Batty.
Dugarry. Turning too quickly for Sol Campbell's liking. Not played much this season, Dugarry, because of injury.
Well, just like Lissot, who was beaten for sheer skill from Turan. This occasion it's Campbell. Little back flip from Dugarry, too clever for Campbell. Good situation this for Djorkaeff to exploit.
David Seaman, well, he came and couldn't collect. There was no one, happily for England, attacking a deep free kick.
Well, Patrick Vieira was the closest at the back post. Didn't really go to attack it.
This was where Barthez had to be very sound in his judgment, and he was, because it definitely was inside the area. England got three up, Gascoigne with the two you'd expect further forward, but too eager. Gotti brought into France in the back line in place of Desailly, who's not 100% fit. L'Aigle, with the Italian-based Frenchman, as is Deschamps. France, one defeat in 35 internationals, but there's still a national debate, believe it or not, about whether Aimé Jacquet, the coach, is the right man for the job. It's largely because they don't score sufficient quantities of goals to please the fans, and it is, by Jacquet's standards, a very attacking-looking French side tonight that England have got to deal with.
This is the first free kick that England have had, committed a number of fouls themselves. It's a very, very competitive game for a friendly.
Very fortunate from Turan that it went to Ngotti. His second effort more successful to get it headed back to Barthez. What do you say, friendly, Trevor? The organisers of Le Tournoi would hope that they would induce competitive play. It's certainly competitive, France and Brazil, and maybe Italy, the one nation we've seen so far who didn't really set out to compete or couldn't match England's level of competition. They've been critical of some of the way the weight was thrown around. Slipping.
Well, already there have been a number of challenges which resulted in a free kick. Just wondering how long the referee will continue to give free kicks. Won't be long before he brandishes the yellow card. Certainly a flurry of yellow cards in the second half the other night, wasn't there?
They certainly were, and Glenn Hoddle's had strong words to his players. This is Patrick Vieira, who's not known in French football for the power of his shooting, but the ball broke quite nicely for him then, but he didn't really attack the chance, the elusive player who thought he was going to score.
No, he was looking for the ball just to sit up a little bit more. Otherwise, it would have been a good opportunity to get the volley in on target.
Won by Laurent Blanc, then Batty for England, Gascoigne. Kelly. Here's Gary Neville. The parents of Gary and Philip are in Montpellier, as they were in Nantes. Yeah, England's desire to get the ball, but you're quite right, Trevor. The card had to come out sooner rather than later, and it's been shown to David Beckham.
Well, I'm not really a betting man, Martin, but I think they'll let a few quid on Batty being the first to go into the book. The tackle that he committed on Djorkaeff was very, very close to the mark. On this occasion, I think the referee, right, has given the yellow card for that challenge on Vieira.
Offside against Nicolas Wedek, who plays in Spain for Espanyol. Hasn't had much of a season. He, like Dugarry, has spent too much time on the treatment table, the players liking. But they are looking for the right formula up front, the French, and opportunity for the two in front of Jacquet to show what they can do. They played together in the French under-21 side before. Forward by Philip Neville, two quickly to Beckham. The back pass wasn't really perfectly designed. Ngotti for Barthez. He's really showing his strength then, but having to play on the retreat. Deschamps with little room to look around. Look for Wedek, quite enough weight on the pass.
A number of England players, Martin, in this early part of the game being caught in possession of the ball. That's a bad challenge from Deschamps. Some clever play from Gascoigne. Saw Deschamps committed himself, pushed it through his legs.
Quick free kick though from England, and Graham Lasso is on his way here. Shearer put into the far post. And right in the penalty area, but no one else there for England. Gascoigne waiting on the edge. Here he is. Right seen off by Blanc, but I must say, if England have been late once or twice with tackles, France guilty themselves. Look at this.
Well, if he actually connected,
It's Patrick Vieira.
it was a very, very bad challenge.
It's a sort of challenge that Vieira, I think he got 11 yellow cards, something like that, for Arsenal over the season. It was the weakest part of his otherwise very effective first year in English football.
Actually, when the ball was thrown out, Gary Neville ran all of 50 yards to give Vieira a mouthful. It wasn't a very pleasant challenge, and I'm very surprised that the referee elected to allow it to go by. But what's happening now? Is he blocking Beckham?
Well, David Beckham has been shown a yellow card, and when Anthony assumed that technically he's supposed to go off on the stretcher, can you be booked for that? If that is the case, well, Beckham will miss the match against Brazil, having been one of 4 England cautions against Italy.
What did I say about this being a friendly? Obviously not in the eyes of the referee. That's ridiculous, Martin, isn't it? It's not entering into the spirit of the tournament, booking a player for that. It's a World Cup game, yes, but it's only a friendly tournament.
Well, the fact is, Vieira should have been booked for the foul. Saïd Benkola from Morocco. Has something of a reputation in the international game for a brandisher of the cards. And at the moment, he's got a difficult game to deal with.
Yes, but he allows it to be like this. The first 3 or 4 minutes, there were a number of tackles that went in, could have been a yellow card. He allowed it to go by. Now he's got himself a difficult game. We have to ask the question as well, what is a referee from Morocco refereeing a game between England and France?
Well, let me tell you that on Tuesday, Brazil against England, according to the official list, has a South American referee from Colombia, which also seems unnecessary in the circumstances. Here's Philip Neville. Southgate, whose personal form has really improved for England over the last 2 or 3 games. Campbell looking for Shearer. This was exemplary in Poland, 10 out of 10 for him in that game, 10 goals in the last 10 internationals as well. Vieira. This is Jacquet, who likes to operate in that halfway position. There is a school of thought, Trevor, here in France that he should be the out-and-out striker and that Zidane should play in the playmaking role. But Jacquet has said he doesn't want to play there.
Well, certainly on this occasion here, I'd be very alarmed if I was Glenn Hoddle with the amount of room that he finds himself in. There's not one midfield player within 10 yards of him. It was Campbell that had to come out to try and close him down. It was certainly a good shooting opportunity. It was rather wasted.
Reined in by Gary Neville. Philip Neville with Gascoigne. Shearer showing, but England keep it in midfield. Beckham's gone through the centre. Gascoigne helped by Batty. Right. Graham was throwing a lot of space. Thuram got sucked into the centre, but he had the length of stride to get across. The pass wasn't perfect from England's point of view to get the slow going, but he was waiting and waiting when the ball came. Around it, ground there to get to it.
Certainly Gascoigne didn't get the ball, and I think Thuram did him a favour. Being a defender, he let him just down his feet. If he'd gone over, I think Gascoigne may have been in trouble.
Of course, he got booked against Italy as well, and Hoddle would be starting to get a bit short of midfield players if he's suspended on Tuesday night as well. Southgate. Certainly in the French press there's been a lot of complimentary things written about England. Tended to rather look down their noses at our football. The old expression, kick and rush, is often thrown at you. And far more sophisticated these days. Being right at the sharp end of things. Earning a corner. With the crowd behind Barquez's goal. Long. Really clearing his lines with the header. Back from Gary Neville, but it's Gascoigne who's adjudged offside. Well, if you're going to have a rehearsal for a World Cup, yes. Determination should be part of it. That's a fine line between that and misapplied aggression. Gascoigne. Trevor, you played in '85 in a similar sort of tournament in Mexico. Possibly
because of the conditions there. It was very, very hot. Wasn't a very, very high tempo game. Not too many particularly aggressive challenges. So this game has started off in cool temperatures, which obviously suits players. And it is very, very competitive. I think France, being the home side, they want to give a good account of themselves in front of their own supporters. I think they've surprised England with the speed in which they've pressed the ball. I think the other night against Italy, England were allowed to play. They had plenty of possession. They weren't really closed down by the Italians. But certainly tonight, France are closing the ball down very, very quickly.
Jacquet taking up a very good position again. The drop on Batty. This is Dugarry, and it had to be held cleanly by Seaman because Wedek was following in between any bits and pieces.
This was possibly the best chance they've had so far. They've had 2 or 3 shots from outside the box. Free shot for Dugarry. You'd have expected a player of his ability to have done better.
England's turn to press and force the error. Beckham. Now the ball again could have been on to Phil Neville, but once more Beckham decided to keep it safe and simple.
Yes, he's trying his best, Phil Neville, to get forward, but not so easy tonight because he's got 2 players down this side. Obviously the French manager is aware of the threat of Phil Neville, so that's the reason I feel he's put Keller there. He's also got Legler just in behind him, so there are 2 players covering the runs of Neville.
So Shearer. Spotted by Deschamps. England Still looking for an attempt on the French goal.
Well, I suppose after 20 minutes, it's a little bit too early to be analysing, what England haven't done in front of goal. But you do feel, Martin, over the last 3 or 4 years that England have preferred, with Terry Venables and with Glenn Hoddle, to play with a link player just in behind the front player, whoever it may be up front. Tonight, of course, they've got the 2 out-and-out strikers, and I feel it's in that area that we don't have the player who can receive the ball just off the front man. That's something that we should keep our eye on for the remainder of this first half. We're asking Beckham and Gascoigne to try and get forward, as Beckham is at the moment. Whereas that link player, I feel, is the one who's missing at the moment.
Just wondered, Glenn Hoddle was talking yesterday about taking a risk, and whether that was the risk.
Well, I feel that if Scholes had been fit tonight, undoubtedly he would have played, and he would have been the one who would have been asked to play in behind the front two.
Dugarry doing very well. And there were 3 opening in the centre, but he might be able to cut the ball back. So England bring everyone back to defend the corner. And that was Thuram. They are strong and powerful, France.
Well, it's the corner we see so often on the continent, the one that swings away. Certainly Thuram attacked that ball, but couldn't quite get direction on the header.
It's also, of course, a big test this tournament for Glenn Hoddle, pitting his wits against seasoned international coaches, much older men than him. Maldini, 65 years old, so is Brazil's Zagallo. Aimé Jacquet, his opponent tonight at 55, still 16 years the senior of England's head coach. There's a lot of respect in France for Glenn Hoddle because of course his work as a player with Monaco. Joker. And there is also a lot of respect in this country. Southgate, a bit lucky that Deschamps slipped then. Allowed Batty to collect the ball. And that's France pushing up, and Ian Wright called offside. For the absence of the linking player and the inclusion of Wright, to say that he's earned the right to have a game with Shearer, hasn't he, the way he's played against the South Africa and particularly Italy.
Well, I would have thought he's done better than Glenn ever anticipated. He's obviously got a high regard for him.
And here he is, Ian Wright, with a lot of space. He was trying to craft a pass there. Indeed, Shearer makes sure the pass is possible, but it was never going to put Alan Shearer directly into goal. And now the ball bounces back, hits Shearer again, and it's a goal kick. Almost as if Ian Wright was a bit respectful to Alan Shearer then. In that position, you might think for Arsenal he might have gone on a glory trail of his own.
I think he actually chose the wrong option, Martin. He looked across the far side here and saw Shearer was clear, but if he had gone alone, he was one-on-one.
It was a deep ball by Legler that took out Sol Campbell. Wedek trying to take it first time, and the shot wasn't hit cleanly, but it's deflected behind for the corner.
Well, the look on Campbell's face, he was surprised the referee gave a corner here. Let's have a look for ourselves. Oh, there's no doubt about that. It's certainly a corner.
Laurent Blanc, very, very dangerous in the air, but he's watched well by Shearer.
There's an excellent defensive header from Shearer.
Keller trying to get the cross in. Almost 25 minutes played in Montpellier. Keller. Vieira. Sensibly done. Back to Legler. Oh, and Dugarry! Well, stronger contact then, and David Seaman might have found himself picking the ball out of the net.
Well, I have to say, David Seaman's got away with that, but he was very, very lucky. This is a clever ball into the box, played on the volley. causes England plenty of problems. There it is, it's Blanc who plays it in. This is where Seaman comes for it, realises he can't get there. He's almost embarrassed with a header that almost went through his legs.
And England survive. Batty and Phil Neville. Looking for some way to play it there, Philip Neville. The problem for Shearer and Wright was that France, who really pressed into an offside ploy against Brazil, were well up the pitch as a back line again.
Yes, they're holding a reasonably high line, and they're able to do that because of the midfield boys who are pressing the ball so quickly.
Another reason why Ian Wright was picked up. Space to run into might be there tonight.
I think the reason Ian Wright was picked was because of the fact that he's played so well in the 2 games and scored 2 goals in 2 games. He's picked himself.
Campbell. Shearer's gone offside this time. His movement to get back on. Wright running across the line. Phil Neville coming as well. Again, France get it right and England not quite, but there's surely going to be one occasion where England will get in.
Yeah, I think the 2 of them were offside there, Wright and Neville.
Deschamps. Legler. Aimé Jacquet determined to use the majority of his squad in this tournament.
Certainly a strong squad too, Martin, isn't it? We talk about England's strength and depth, and when you look at some of the players who he's omitted from this lineup tonight.
Legler. Well, he is one of the junior members of the squad and looking to make an impression in the position that Lizarazu did so well in against Brazil.
Yes, I don't think England mind too much. Legler shooting from all of 35 yards. There has to be something special from that distance to beat David Seaman.
Jacquet. Southgate got it right. That wasn't easy to do. As if maybe the ball just got caught on the breeze. There is a feeling of rain in the air everywhere England have been recently. It's been wet and the players haven't minded that. Certainly helped in Poland on a very poor surface. Do anything to dampen the spirits and not. Goes Ngotti, who was the player who gave away the penalty in that European Cup Winners' Cup final recently, bringing down Ronaldo. Cost Paris Saint-Germain his club the retaining of that trophy. And Ngotti had scored the winning goal the year before. Phil Neville, the long throw. Barthez, well, made up his mind it would be his. Jacquet. There is Bruno Ngotti, regarded as the best French-based defender. Many of the squad now living outside of France. Here's Graham Marcel. Shearer right in the centre, just waiting well outside the area like Beckham and Batty. Gascoigne.
Yeah, England are struggling to get players forward into the box. They're so reluctant to put that ball in there because there's only 2 players, as you mentioned, Martin, Wright and Shearer.
Maybe 1 or 2 more might go in now because England have got a free kick. But they haven't. Shearer got the better of Blanc, but illegally, said the referee from Morocco, who was very close to judge the incident.
Certainly not in Alan Shearer's opinion.
Didier. Been some good runs by Christophe Dugarry. But Sol Campbell saw him off that time. It'll be interesting to talk to the players afterwards, Trevor, and find out what they made of flying to a game on the day of the game. It was a genuine experiment by Glenn Hoddle, who used to fly around France as a player with Monaco and felt it never did him any harm.
Yes, I spoke to one or two of the press this morning. They were trying to make something of it. Asked me if I ever flown on the day of the game. Certainly know that one or two in the Premiership back home do it on the day of the game quite regularly.
Middlesbrough, one club that fly a lot.
And I suppose the fact that England have been rather poor, I would say, in the first half an hour, I suppose it may sort of suit them at the moment, because they can attach it to the fact that they travelled this morning. But I just think it's down to the French, who have really surprised England. They've been very, very quick to the ball, very, very aggressive. They've taken England by surprise.
The force of Philip Neville was Wedek.
But there are going to be times when you can't always play in football. But what's vitally important is that you don't concede. We've played 30 minutes so far, haven't looked like scoring. But it's fair to say there's only been one occasion when France have looked like scoring.
Leg. Yeah. It's nicely done by Gascoigne. Gotti was just across in the nick of time.
Excellent defending, wasn't it? Read the ball, played in behind into the channel where Wright wants it, quickly over, dispossessed Wright.
Lovely dummy by Wedek. He's got the ball back from Djorkaeff. But this is France's problem. It's often been said that if they had a world-class central striker, an Alan Shearer, a Ronaldo, I know they don't grow on trees, but they would be definite candidates to win the World Cup.
Yeah, you're right, that was clever build-up play, but very good tackle from Gary Neville.
Alan Shearer's got some space here, but not for long, not for long enough. And Gotti lost him, got him.
I'll tell you, his speed of recovery is something else. He had to be quick there, because that was an opportunity for Alan Shearer. And I think once again, Martin, the surprise at which they closed the way in which they close that ball down is really surprising the England players. So quick and aggressive at closing it down.
Wedek. To work it with Dugarry. Happy to play on the break. Gascoigne. Right. Patty can win it back for England. Lasso. Just pulling away from Blanc. And jumping with Legler. And Alan Shearer got the right man to compete against in the air there. It's a tremendous header though, and Barthez had to spring across to save it.
Good header and a good ball in from Lasso. Only two players of England in the box, but he picks out Shearer. He gets above Legler, that's a great header.
So some work for Barthez. It's taken 34 minutes, but let's not forget that this is an away game. Most of the impact of playing Italy was really treated like an away result, but of course it was away for Italy as well, the neutral venue. And as we stressed on the night, Italy didn't arrive really with the bravado of players who'd come to fully compete. Let's take nothing away from England's performance, which was of a very high order. France certainly have been awaiting this tournament, having had no competitive games as the host nation. England found that difficulty, of course, with Euro '96, a series of rather insipid friendlies at Wembley. So they're enjoying the test of trying to win this tournament in their own country. But England have kept them at bay. We're 10 minutes away from half-time.
Yeah, just referring back to the other night, it's goals that changed the course of the game, and Di Matteo had a good chance early on, failed to take it. Once Wright put us in the league, there was no holding us.
Dugarry showing that danger in the air again, and it's Not easy to outleap Sol Campbell. He did so.
Well, the threat before came from Lizarazu with a cross on the left-hand side. On this occasion, it's also on France's left-hand side from Legler. Good leap from Dugarry. Can't get it on target.
Gascoigne under a good challenge by Beckham.
Oh, I really should have played Lizarazu in. He was completely freed on the left-hand side. Gascoigne decided to go alone. Obviously couldn't see Lizarazu.
Trevor, there was talk when Nantes after the game, and Gascoigne was only on for a few minutes, so we must be fair to him in that respect, but when he was on, that England's pace through midfield slowed down the use of the ball. I'm not talking about his own personal pace, but taking more touches than England had been doing in that department. Did you subscribe to that view?
Just leave it there for a second. Once again, the ball is stopped by the French midfield players there. He wasn't on long enough, Martin, to really make any assessment. I think the game was already won. The only notable thing I suppose he did in that field was going into the book. But I don't think it was the time for judging a player with 15 minutes left.
Given away by Lizarazu.
The whole structure of the side was different, wasn't it, the other night? You saw right up front, the two players from Sheringham and Scholes continually coming back, getting the ball, looking to feet.
Sorry to cut across you there, Trevor, but David Beckham, who has been booked in this game and got a good telling off from Glenn Hoddle for reacting badly when he was booked in Nantes, was showing just a little temperamental weakness again. He was the first to admit in the press conference after the game that he is letting himself down in that respect, and had done it a few times for Manchester United in the second half of the season. But having said that, he's reacting then when he might have shown a cooler head.
He shouldn't have reacted there, but Dugarry was the culprit. The referee's got to get hold of that. He's pulled his shirt, did a little kick at him across his waist. The referee's got to spot that and book him.
Well, of course, there's another game from the Tournoi tomorrow. You'll see it live on Sky Sports. Back in Lyon, Brazil again against Italy. Very stung by the criticism that they got in their home country for their lack of performance against England, so you can expect a much more positive Italian effort. Join us for that tomorrow evening. Deschamps. And again. Both sides finding it hard to pick out the front players at the moment. Hoddle seems to be enjoying it. John Grauman on the side there, Ray Clements as well. It's a coach's sort of game at the moment. A match of fine margins. Lizarazu. Now Beckham. And certainly England have quietened the crowd, which is not always passionate in France. Frank Leboeuf was telling me in the week that France are looking for their 12th man for the World Cup. That is the support to really manifest itself. In Montpellier, there is a feeling that they are more aggressive and more passionate, the supporters. They're frustrated with the team though, and worried about England's break here, which is a Gascoigne attempted pass for Philip Neville that doesn't come off.
No, I think that's been typical of England the first half. The passing hasn't been as good as it was the other night.
But let's just think back, just over a week ago, the talk was whether England would qualify for the World Cup. Now, certainly over here, there's been major debate about how strong England are as contenders to win the World Cup itself. That's a giant leap. And of course, no one should truly get carried away with Italy away to come in October.
No, I would say playing against Italy, Brazil and France, if you come away from those three games unbeaten, you've got an excellent tournament. At the moment, we've beaten Italy, we're drawing here, so it's going very, very well.
Leg. It's a hopeful ball forward. Dugarry does enough to put Campbell off in the jump, but then fouled him as the chase developed. and Gotti finding that Shearer and Wright move superbly together, and Ian Wright in front of goal found that Barthez, who played so well against Brazil, was able to keep out England's clearest opportunity so far.
Well, certainly the linesman got it right because they weren't offside. The French got it wrong. Excellent run from Shearer, and Gotti tries to play offside. Good awareness this from Shearer. He knew exactly where Wright was, and Ian Wright would have expected a score, but that's an excellent save from Barthez. Certainly the best save of the game.
Corner easily dealt with. Wedek trying to get it to Jacquet, his first touch on the stretch, to be fair to him. And he took the ball into the path of Gary Neville. In frustration, Jacquet bowled him over.
Well, undoubtedly Ian Wright will be annoyed with himself and missing that, but I think we have to give credit to the keeper Barthez. Put it down to an excellent save.
Beckham looking for Wright again. And Shearer and Wright were onside both times, weren't they? Certainly the first movement for Shearer, and when he played it to Ian Wright, Wright was level in the centre. So it was well worked by England, but in the end not well taken. Keller. Off Philip Neville for a corner to France.
I'm just saying, Martin, that's the downside of playing offside, of course. You'll have to get it wrong once.
Agitation there from Campbell. He's had some problems with Dugarry. Jacquet with the corner. Legler. Well, it went through the crowd, but happily for David Seaman, it wasn't on target.
I don't know if you see this, Martin, but as Legler shoots here, just look at the two French players, the strikers completely unmarked. Dugarry and Wedek. You don't actually see it too clearly, but the mark wasn't too clever from the England defenders.
Well, the England players complaining, and we understand it's about the ball itself that they feel is on the flat side. Almost flattened then. Shearer by Vieira, who's got away with 2 or 3 robust challenges, to be kind to him. Deschamps does so much fetching and carrying for France. Vieira losing it. Shearer and slow snapping in. Be careful with the challenge here. And France switch the play well. And this is Yuri Jacquet. Philip Neville. Oh, now the ball surely played then.
That's never a foul. That's an awful decision from the referee. Sadly, the referee's not up to it, Martin. Gascoigne was fouled initially by Thuram. It broke away. That was a great tackle from Phil Neville.
Well, he is at least going to bow to England's request to change the ball. But Philip Neville with great speed. And he was the first to react, but other England players were around quickly. And England feel that they're getting the rough end of this. And in the 45th minute of the first half, a chance for France to show their places at set plays.
Well, there's only one fellow who's going to take this, and that's Jacquet. He can be very dangerous from this sort of distance.
Here is Jacquet. The flick came from Wedek. Seaman was stranded.
Once again, Martin, the marking there was awful. How can Wedek be that free in his 6-yard box? He really should have scored.
Legler. And France unable to sustain the pressure. And England, at the end of it, not punished by what we all felt was a refereeing mistake in awarding this free kick.
Just look at Wedek, completely free. That's clever play that from Jacquet. I don't think he went for goal there. He actually spotted him in that position. plays it in with his right foot.
And he could be in that position because Gary Neville was guarding the post. And that was intelligent work all round from the French players. But again, and their fans will be furious, it lacked the finish. But here's Wedek, but he's 1 against 3. And Sol Campbell got it back to Seaman.
Well, Wedek, what he chose to do, Martin, was the little flick, when actually he could have pulled the ball down with the instep of his right foot, swiveled and scored.
And the so needs attention, and Deschamps recognised that and sportingly put the ball out. Well, the so came off at half-time, of course, in the last game. He's waiting for the referee to allow Harry Lewin and Alan Smith to come on.
Just hope that so goes off on the stretcher.
Well, still flabbergasted by that. Maybe we missed something else, but that seemed to be what he was yellow carded for, David Beckham. There is the stretcher. Again, Graham Rousseau, who is an intelligent guy.
Here's the free kick again. I'm sure Djorkaeff actually saw Wedek in that position, and look, that was a good goal-scoring opportunity. Completely unmarked. Should have scored.
Graham Rousseau got the bang in the face there. There was an incident when he was chasing the play, and it's been a fierce first half. And as a rehearsal for what you might call more genuine competition, well, it's been more valuable experience for England. 0-0 at half-time, but it could have been 1-0 if Ian Wright had kept his goal-scoring run going with a set-up from Shearer, but he couldn't take the chance. David Seaman saved from Dugarry's header, and France have huffed and puffed without really threatening to break through. 0-0 at Montpellier at the break.